What's up, guys? This is going to be a quick student interview with one of my successful students, Aziz. He's been absolutely crushing it lately. He came into the program with a lot of knowledge around e-commerce already, but there was a couple of things that I think were holding him back from some of the numbers that he's been able to hit today. So yeah, thank you for joining me, Aziz.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
Yeah. So I guess for those who are watching, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, like what you did before e-commerce, where you're from, and if you thought you'd be where you are today when you were younger.
Uh, I'm from Azerbaijan, and I moved to United States 7 years ago. So first 3 years I was doing Uber Eats in New York City, Brooklyn, and then I started my ecom journey after 3 years. I was doing okay at the beginning, but the thing is we never ran Facebook ads for e-commerce. We had a different method.
What'd you do?
We were just getting traffic through the ads, other ads. So I
Okay.
had a team. They were just
Oh, I know the
people.
method. Yeah. It was actually something that worked really well, like what, like
It
3 years ago?
was doing very well because
Yeah.
the thing is when you run ads from Facebook, so if you don't have an Instagram page, you cannot see the comments on Instagram, or most people, most advertisers don't check it. So we used
Yeah.
to get the same product and DM customers or just put a comment that it's cheaper here, come buy it.
Yeah.
I did that for 2 years, and then I started trying to run Facebook ads. I was just doing break even. I did $200,000 sales just without any profit.
Yeah.
I had some friends who had mentorship and they were very successful. I thought it's time for me to get a mentorship, and then
Yeah.
you know the story. We were talking
Yep.
on Instagram before the mentorship, and then
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely. So I guess like what were I know you mentioned it a little bit, but like what were some of the problems that you were facing before the program, and like how has the coaching helped you solve some of those problems?
yeah, my biggest problem was the, when you are alone, let's say you are running ad and you are not profitable for 2 days, you're losing money. That's how I was just turning off ads and just moving on.
Yep.
When I get mentorship, I learned that's the part of progress.
Yep.
And then the main thing I get from our mentorship, besides organizing my ads and stuff, the main thing I learned is just to be brave about spending money on ads.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I learned. So just setting up a campaign and putting $500 a day budget and not touching it for 2, 3 days, even though you get sales here and there,
Yeah.
is just okay. That's
Yep.
the main thing I learned.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people think that there's like these super fancy strategies, and media buying is very important, but I think what we've gone through a lot is like the fundamentals, like having really good foundations, having good creative acquisition frameworks and structures, and then pairing that with strategy. And if you're confident in your creative and your strategy, then you can be a lot more confident with the budgets that you put into it. And when you understand how the platform works, then you're you're able to take bigger risks and be confident that like one of those risks might work and nine of those might not, but that one is going to make back 10 times more than the other nine lose. And
That's
that's the entire game of Facebook, of TikTok ads, even of like organic marketing and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's awesome we've been able to fix that. And the cool thing is like we're just getting started. I mean,
exactly.
there's so much more room for growth with the businesses that you're currently running, and with new businesses that you've yet to even start, that all that learning just continues to compound. So I think there's been also a big mindset shift where, before you might have looked at a campaign and been like, oh, this is at a loss. And now you can look at it and say, oh, this is a huge lesson that's going to make me so much more than what it lost. Right. Um, yeah. So
That's true.
if you don't mind me asking,
Mhm.
what was your profit looking like last month?
Last month, so last month we started very strong from the 1st of March. We were doing 2K profit every day, 2K, 1,500, but we worked 14 days and then we started having problems on the ad
with
account,
the ad account. Yep.
it started getting rejected. Even though we worked 15, not even 15, like 13, 12 days, just without problems, we made 20, 25K profit.
Yeah.
It's more than that. I'm just cutting it off just to make
Conservative. Yeah. It's well,
income.
it's funny because one of the things that we always talk about is to be conservative with everything, right? Because you
Yeah.
never know when you're gonna get like a processor hold or Facebook's gonna shut you down, or like your cost of goods go up a little bit, or your transaction fees are high, or you have, sales tax. Like there's all these little things you always want to factor in for that cushion. But like that's awesome. So I mean, it easily would have been like 50K, if not more than that, if we hadn't had the Facebook issues,
That's
because
true,
they didn't just stop the consistency of the profitability, but it stopped the scalability as well, right?
yeah.
But now,
Okay.
like, we're getting back on track,
Mhm.
and I think we're gonna crush past that this month, even with like a slower start to the month because we've been solving those Facebook issues. But like, what's the off the top of your head? Do you know what like the revenue is looking like today across both the stores?
Today,
Yeah,
today we have let me I need to check it quick.
yeah. Check it, check it.
It's
Is
one
like just so that everyone who's like watching, they know that like this isn't just something that, you have a good 2 weeks and then things die out, right? Problems happen, but when problems happen, you
I want
bring
to show it,
solutions,
but
right?
I don't want to show my store name. So we made
Yeah, I could also blur it out. Yeah,
yep,
and that's
made
2K euros, so that's like
euros, yeah,
2200
in
US.
the just in European store, and we have some probably 1,000 or even close to 2,000. I'm not sure to in
Yeah.
English.
Yeah, and
So
it's
total,
like 1:40 p.m. So there we still have like the whole rest of the day, right?
but I just started my new ad account, so I have a
Yep.
very long way to go, and I didn't run ads for a long time. It's
Yeah.
just the beginning.
Like we said, we're just getting started, right? Yeah. So
So yeah, I'm just so happy with the results. I'm seriously happy because I also have a lot of friends here in Miami. They are doing e-commerce. They are very
yep.
successful. And I was talking to them actually yesterday, and they asked me how was my mentorship. And I truly told them that I learned a lot of stuff because before our mentorship, I had this mindset that e-commerce is not working, especially dropshipping is not working. I was thinking like people are not buying anymore. It's
Yeah.
saturated. So, why would someone buy from my ad if the same product is on Amazon?
Yeah.
Yeah, but once you make a lot of sales, you just understand
Yeah,
that
that's all you need
what
is
is that
you just need one product to
exactly.
like believe that you can do it. And then once you experience it, there's no going back, you know?
Yeah, it's just a business, another type of business. How
Yeah,
how can business end? Like
exactly.
how is it
People are
possible?
never going to stop buying products online. You just
Yeah,
got to get in front of them, right?
yeah.
So for those who are watching, a lot of people are like just getting into e-commerce, or they've
Mhm.
even had a little bit of success like you did, but then they came across, a 6 month or a 1 year period where they couldn't get it to work again. And then maybe they start doubting their skills or the
Mhm.
legitimacy of the business model, right? So like what's some advice that you would give, your younger self who is just getting into e-commerce, or like that new kid who's getting into e-commerce and who there's all this information on the internet. What would be the advice that you would give to them in order to like fast track their success or just to increase the likelihood and the probability of them succeeding in the business model?
So first of all, it's not easy. We all can say you need to put hours, you need to work a lot because I'm
Yeah.
working a lot. Work like 8 hours, at least 8 hours every single day, just
Yeah.
on my business. And secondly, getting mentorship is really gonna help everyone. Like getting help from someone who knows what they're doing is really going to help. And
Yeah.
also, uh, when you think you know everything, that there's no way you know everything because there's a lot of stuff to learn, a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. Like just the just how to organize your ads, how to create a system where you get your ads consistently every week. You can test
Yeah.
new ads, or how to get even your scripts ready, like ad
Yeah. An ad
scripts,
script. Yeah.
creative strategies, all these things. You need a lot of experience.
Yeah.
I think getting a
Yeah.
mentor is very good way. And most people would think it's expensive and stuff. Let's say you're paying $10,000 for a mentorship. Most people think it's expensive, but when you compare it to the revenue and the profit and the potential you have to make proper the
Yep.
money, it's
Yeah.
not. It's basically nothing.
Yeah. A lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, I'm spending 10K. Like, what am I getting in return? Like they think about it in the short term. Like, what am I getting in the next 30 days, 60 days? But in reality, like if you have an extra 10K, you know, and you invest that in the S&P 500,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you'll make $1,000 that year, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
invest that in yourself, into your education, into your business, like conservatively, if you're,
Exactly.
you know, you don't have to be special in order to make this work, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we've done this with dozens of people, hundreds of times, right? And it's like you, if you invest 10K and you're able to even make like, you know, if you're able to increase your ability to make money that year by 20K, 30K, 40K, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a better return than the best investors in the world, right? Warren Buffett, like all these guys, they're maybe
That's
making
true.
9%, 10%, 11%, maybe 20%. But you
Mm-hmm.
put 10K and you make 100K in profit within a year from that investment, it's insane. Or you just increase your earning capacity, right? So like there's I've worked with some people that, you know, they let's say they spent 10K hypothetically, right? On
Mm-hmm.
coaching. And then they went ahead and made, you know, 10K, 15K a month in profit with their business. And then 6 months later, maybe it died off, right? And then they
Mm-hmm.
started another business, whatever it might have been. I have some students that are now like CMOs of 8-figure companies that are partners of like 7 and 8-figure e-commerce brands, like that have equity in those businesses. I have students that have went ahead to run marketing agencies at 6 figures a month in revenue. And it's like you're not just learning how to build an e-commerce brand, you're learning how to market, you're learning how to select products, you're learning how to you know, do ad creative, how to manage teams, how to build systems and processes. And that's the thing that I think a lot of beginners overlook is like they get into this thinking it's going to be easy, they're not going to have to put in work, but also thinking like, oh, if this doesn't work, like I'm screwed, right? I'm out 5K, 10K, whatever. When in reality, it's like you're building these skill sets that are infinitely more
Exactly.
valuable than something like a college education. Like you'll get a loan for 200,000 to go to college to an Ivy League school, and you won't blink, you know, you won't bat an eye, you won't even blink. But like getting a $10,000 loan from your parents to start your business, and it's the end of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really good advice. I like the advice that's just like assume that you know nothing and that there's a lot more that there is to learn than that you currently know. And if you always like just stay humble and you continue to be a student, like I'm still a student, right? There's so many people that I learn from. I've learned from like our relationship and everything that we've done together. I've learned tremendously, probably just as much as you've learned from me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you always got to be a student of the game. Yeah. So
Like,
my last question, so
mm-hmm.
since, you know, since we're around that like, you know, 6 figure per month mark ish, what
Mm-hmm.
do you think is going to be that biggest catalyst? I kind of already know the answer. I think you do too. But what do you think that is going to be that biggest catalyst to get to 300K a month, 500K a month, a million a month in the next 90 days? Because I think
uh,
that's 100% within reach.
uh, just keep working in the same system that I learned. That's the way to do it. So keep getting ads, keep testing new ads, and use the same testing strategy. And
Yep.
yeah, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah,
Just
just
getting
like
ads, test it, and grow it. Find winners, grow it.
yeah, like strengthening ad creative acquisition systems and then deploying
Exactly.
more high quality advertising strategies. And like also, I think one thing that we have the opportunity to do better is to go back on our existing tests and our data. Like our creative strategist basically just did this. He went back into our old ads and
Mhm.
he did an analytical breakdown of the hook rates, the hold rates, the click-through
Exactly.
rates, the
Mhm.
spend, the revenue, the CPAs, the ROAS, all these things, and he went back and he looked at these things. And there are
Mhm.
things like we'll look at the ad account and be like, oh, this gets a good ROAS, let's scale it, right? But we don't
Mhm.
look at it from like kind of a bird's eye view and saying,
Mhm.
here are the creatives that did well, and here's why they did well. And based on that data, we're going to take that and we're going to get new creatives that are similar to it. So I think
Mhm.
that feedback loop, I think a lot of people, they just like, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong way of going about it, but I think they miss out on a lot of profitability because they just go to a random editor and say, hey, can you make 20 videos for this product? and I'm going to
Yeah.
hope that they work. And if they do work, then I'm going to run them as long as I can without
Mm-hmm.
any goal in mind to get new creatives once
Mm-hmm.
they die out, right? Because it's inevitable that creatives are going to die out, whether they last a month, a week, 6 months, 3 months. It's inevitable, right? So having that consistent flow of content and having a good relationship between your media buying and your creative acquisition processes, I think a lot of people just like they don't have that, right? There's no marriage, and it's super important. And I know in the beginning of like the coaching, a lot of the things we were doing, I remember you were like, why are we doing it this way? Like it seems like a lot of work. It's really complicated, right? Like it's taking more money, it's taking more time. Like, why are we doing it this way? And it's kind of like it's putting in a little bit more work up front and adding a little bit of systematization to it and a few more people in the puzzle so that in in a month from now, you only have to work an hour, 2 hours a day, and you're making 10 times more than what you're making right now. Right. So it's
Yeah.
about putting in systems. And sometimes systems take time, but you don't have to build them out in a complex way. Like what we're doing, some of the tools we're using, they're not super complicated, right? They might be in the beginning. In the first week of looking at it or not using it, you're like, holy shit, this is a little bit tricky. But once you use it, get some reps in, it
Exactly.
becomes really fun and it brings a lot of peace of mind to like, you could start to work on your business and not in your business because you see other people that are
Mhm.
kind of helping you achieve that common goal. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to maybe having you back on in
We will
six
go, man.
months.
Yeah.
We'll fly out to Miami, get you on the podcast, right? We'll be at a 500,000 a month, 1 million a month. And I think it's inevitable because one thing we didn't talk about in this whole interview is that you're selling some of your best profitable days have been to the European markets, right? So a lot of people
Yeah,
are
it is,
fighting
but
for this.
English market is picking up
Oh
slowly.
yeah, I mean they're both doing well, right? But I think what a lot of people don't believe is that they don't think that they could sell to a country where they can't speak the language, right? But
Oh
you don't know how to
no.
speak German, you don't know how to speak Italian, right? You don't know how to speak French,
Uh,
and and there's ways that you're able to sell to these other countries where your costs can be a little bit lower, your profitability could be a little bit higher, and there's
in the
maybe there's
law.
maybe one or two more steps involved in getting the system in place, but it can be incredibly rewarding if you like take those extra steps, right? Because we did have to get different processors. We had to have team members who could help us translate things, maybe get new creators and figure out ways to communicate with them. But like, I think that's another cool tip that we can share with beginners is like, don't be afraid to go in places where there is less competition, even if it
Mhm.
feels like it's a little bit of like a scarier jump, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Once you taste profits, you never go back. You
Yeah.
keep going.
Yep. Yeah.
But
Awesome, man.
now I'm confident enough to say that even though this store I have doesn't work, I really don't care. I truly
You
don't
have the
care because
skills.
I'm confident. I know 100% I'm gonna build another store.
Yeah.
In just 1 month, I will be profitable.
Yeah, 100%. And the cool thing is like you have the skills to where right now you took what was a store and now it's a brand, right? We got
Exactly.
custom packaging, we got awesome
Mhm.
products, we got great supplier relationships. We have an awesome Facebook feedback score. We have
Exactly.
really happy customers, right? We'll get into that like that a customer affiliate advertising channel kind of soon. But it's cool when you can transition something from like a dinky little drop shipping store to like a full-fledged brand that's
Exactly.
providing value to people, that's incredibly profitable, that's providing jobs to team members. Like it's yeah, it's going to be really fun, and I'm super pumped and excited for you. And yeah, I appreciate you jumping on and kind of
Thank
sharing some
you.
value, answering some questions, and look forward to continuing to grow with you. Yeah.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Hope
Cool.
to talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.